Okay, let's talk delegation, because I talk to a lot of leaders who don't like delegating, struggle with delegating, or think they're delegating, but still find that their team is coming to them for everything. That's what I am covering in today's video. If you're new here, I'm Zoe Thompson, and I help leaders to be more efficient and more effective and create confident and self-sufficient teams so that they can go home on time, take a week off, and be a better leader in the process. That's what I do. And every week I record a video covering different tools, different topics. And this week we are talking about delegation. This actually comes from a workshop that I ran for my clients and community. So I have a leadership community alongside the one-to-one clients that I work with. And every month I do a workshop based on what they tell me they are looking for support with. So this gives us an opportunity to all come together. And we have an hour to tackle different topics. And I share with them different tools, different resources that they can take away and implement to help them to be more efficient and more effective. And this month, we were covering delegation. At the beginning of the workshop, I put a poll up on Zoom and I asked them what they felt was their biggest struggle around delegation. What made them feel stuck? And the top answer was that they actually felt that it's faster to do it themselves, which I can completely resonate with because it's something that I have found a challenge too. But that was the top answer. It's faster to do it myself. They weren't saying that they don't know how to delegate. They weren't saying that they've never been taught how to delegate. They struggle to delegate because it's quicker to do it themselves because they know it's going to get done properly. And then for others, it was actually that they do delegate, but they end up micromanaging because their team lacks confidence or because they lack confidence in their team. What really came through in the workshop is that most of the leaders actually knew how to delegate or thought they knew how to delegate. When we covered off the difference between delegating and allocating, there was a bit of a light bulb moment quite early on in the workshop where people realized that they thought they were delegating and actually they are allocating. And that's why delegation can feel quite hard. It can often feel like it doesn't stick, and then things still come through you. There's delegating and there's allocating, and there's also ways to delegate that help to ensure that your team and the individuals that you are delegating to have that full support and they have what they need to be able to carry that task through. Ultimately, delegation is what helps make the big week off possible. And when we start to see delegation as more of a development tool for our teams and a way to help our teams to be more self-sufficient, more confident, more resilient, then it starts to shift in the way that we think about it and how we approach it. I want to talk through what delegation actually is and also what it isn't. It's really important for me to make sure that we're all on the same page and that we understand what we're talking about and we understand those two different definitions. Delegation, by definition, is the process of entrusting responsibility and authority. You remain accountable and sometimes also still responsible for the outcome, but you're giving someone else the authority to make those decisions and own the delivery. If you have ever worked with the RACI model, you've got responsible, accountable, consult, and informed. Quite often when we delegate, we hold that accountability. We have the final sign-off. It's down to us to make sure that it's delivered to that required level and on time. But we're delegating that responsibility to do the task, to tackle that task and that activity. It's not dumping tasks and offloading what you don't enjoy, which is often when people talk about feeling guilty about delegation, it's because they feel like it's offloading. Now, I hear this a lot in client calls where people recognize that their team is already at capacity and they don't want to add extra work. Now, when it comes to delegation, we're not removing ourselves from the responsibility. So often we are accountable and then we have that shared responsibility. So it's not set it and forget it. It requires clear expectations and trust. And we want to make sure that we have the right match between the task and the team member that we are delegating to. So for those in leadership roles, delegation becomes a strategic tool. It helps to increase the capacity and development of the team. Really, it needs to be part of your succession planning. When you're having one-to-ones and you're exploring where people want to go and how they want to grow and evolve in their role, and you're seeing what you feel their potential is, this is where you can have some of those conversations to see where they might be ready to increase their capability and create omnicompetent roles, or just increase and get them closer to where you see their full potential being. This needs to be part of your succession planning, looking for those opportunities, looking for individuals who are ready for those opportunities. Delegation's not a handoff. It's a way of working with individuals on your team to increase their capacity and capability. As I mentioned, when we did the poll, 40% of the people that were attending the workshop live said that the biggest sticking point for them was feeling that it's faster to do it themselves. And like I said, I get it. I have had the same challenges over the years, and sometimes in the moment it is faster to do it yourself, but it's not faster longer term. Like I said, it's very common. It didn't surprise me that that was one of the top answers, and it's conversations that come up all the time. You know you can get it done. You understand it. You get it from a trust point of view. You know you're going to get a good job. You know it's going to be a good outcome, and letting go of that is tough. So yeah, it's faster to do it yourself today. It's not faster in the longer term. When we don't delegate these lower level tasks that could go to individuals within your team, you end up getting pulled down into that tactical work and potentially working at that lower level, which means there's a risk of you dropping the ball on the things that are important and the things that you are actually accountable for. This risks you getting stuck in the tactical work and then not having that strategic time. So you're hired and contracted, responsible and accountable for working at a certain level. But it doesn't matter what leadership level you are at. That is what you are recruited for. That's what you've been promoted into. That's where you hold that accountability, and you are responsible for getting certain activities and tasks done and certain deliverables as well. If you're doing the work yourself because it's faster, you're not working at the level that you are contracted in for. You're working at that lower level. And the strategic work, the work that creates the momentum, that drives things forward, that looks ahead to help make things easier for your team, that doesn't get done. So yes, it is faster today, and you're committed to doing that task every single time it comes up. But what you're not doing is developing the capability within your team to handle it, and you are becoming the bottleneck because everything is now coming through you. Not only do you end up staying late to work on the strategic tasks that you haven't had time for during the day, can't take a week off because you're still doing all of the things that need to be done, and your team can't function without you. Let's talk about the difference between allocation and delegation, because this distinction can help a lot of leaders shift their way of thinking about these two ways to develop their team. So several people said their takeaway from the workshop was the understanding the difference between allocation and delegation. Allocation is, can you handle this task for me? It might be that you are taking something off of your to-do list and it's moving from your plate to theirs, but it's an allocated task. You have confidence in their ability to be able to do that task. Quite often, we're allocating the types of tasks that people have responsibility for. That's within the scope of their contract. And allocation is, can you handle this for me? When we talk about delegation, it's, I'd like you to take ownership. This is the outcome. Here's the authority. Here's when we check in, and what support do you need? When we're talking about allocation, it's task distribution. The purpose of it is to manage workload effectively. The focus is task completion, and the outcome is that the work gets delivered. In terms of development for individuals, it's limited. That isn't the intention behind allocation. The mindset of the leader is who is best placed to do this now. When we're delegating, it's about capability development. That is the intention behind it. The purpose is to build your team's capability and capacity. The focus is around learning, ownership, and growth. And the outcome is that the work gets done and capability increases. Development is more of the focus. The skills, the confidence, the self-efficacy, the mindset of the leader when delegating is who will benefit from doing this task. So when we're allocating who's best to do this, task distribution, and when we're delegating who will benefit from doing this, it's about developing individuals' capability. There is a clear difference between the two, and this was probably one of the biggest light bulb moments for the people that were dialed into the workshop. For a lot of people, this was their biggest takeaway of the difference between the two. The difference between the two is the purpose and the intention. We talk about intentional leadership. We are making that decision up front of, do we need to allocate or do we want to delegate? Do we want to get the job done? Do we want that task distributed, or do we want to use this as an opportunity to develop somebody's capability? Now, when we do this, there's identity shifts that need to happen, not just for you as the leader, for the individual that you're delegating with as well. For you, it might be that you need to let go of the control. You need to let go of the perfectionism of things being done in a certain way. For them, they need to see themselves as somebody who is able to do tasks like this. They need to see that they are capable, that you have that belief in them, but also they have that belief in it for themselves as well. One of the best things I ever learned in my leadership years is that when we hold on to tasks, we're really doing is depriving somebody else of that opportunity to develop and grow, which kind of falls out of line with how most people talk about wanting to be as a leader. Certainly, I would have described myself as a leader who wants to see their team reach their full potential, to have those opportunities, and yet I was holding on to things because it was quicker to get it done myself. You want a team that is confident and is growing and has that opportunity to reach their full potential, then delegation is a great way to do this. Seeing it as development opportunities rather than delegating. If you're holding on to those tasks because it's faster to do it yourself, because you don't trust them to do it right, or you don't trust them to do it a certain way, you are preventing that growth from happening. Your identity has to shift from being valuable because you're the best person to get things done to I'm valuable because I develop the best doers. I develop people to be the best at getting things done. And their identity has to shift from I need my manager to tell me what to do to I'm capable of making decisions and owning this work myself. And these shifts don't happen by accident. They happen through intentional and supported delegation. The next section of the workshop was to look at how we can make sure that delegation actually works. And what I wanted to do was cover a number of frameworks in the workshop to help the leaders to be able to delegate effectively and efficiently. Now, in interest of time, I'm not going to go through all of them here, but I'm going to pick out a couple that the feedback was that these were the most helpful during the workshop. We talked through the skill versus will matrix. Before you delegate, you want to assess whether or not the individual has the skill to do the work and whether they have the will to do the work. If they've got high skill and high will, then the delegation is much easier for you to be able to have those conversations. They know they can do it, and they also are keen to do it. If they've got high skill but low will, you'll want to have conversations to understand what's blocking their motivation before you delegate. What do they need to see or hear to help increase that will? Otherwise, you're going to end up with probably procrastination, the potential or high risk of missing deadlines because they are not willing. If they've got a low skill but high will, this is your development opportunity. You can delegate with lots of support. So they're really keen to get it done. But in terms of the skills gap, that's going to be a lot bigger. In terms of your support, that's going to look different because you'll need to be more hands-on. You'll need to give more detail. You'll probably need to give some more support. Do they want to do it? They just need to build that capability and that skill set. And if they've got low skill and low will, to be honest. It's probably best left until you have those opportunities to be able to have those conversations, understand what the skill set is, understand what their strengths are, and understand what's going on for them in terms of their will and their motivation. The second framework that landed really well was what I call the 5 rights of delegation. You need the right task, the right person, the right time, the right instructions, and the right follow-up. Actually, somebody fed back towards the end of the session that their light bulb and next step was to consciously and actively delegate with a team member, not just delegating as and when, but thinking more in advance, thinking more consciously, being more intentional about who they delegate to. And another said that they would ask teams and individuals to identify some tasks that someone else does that they would like to take on to be able to increase their capabilities and their abilities within the team. This is strategic delegation. It's not just the last minute offloading your work when those deadlines are fast approaching, you're running out of time and you've got a long list of things to do, and then delegating them out. This is forward thinking, this is advanced thinking, this is very intentional, very purposeful, looking at where your skills gaps are within your team and then increasing or looking for those opportunities where you can delegate tasks that will increase their ability and their capability. The third really important piece is the communication and having that conversation when you delegate. Can't just do this via email. This is a structured conversation where you are very clear in the outcome that you need, what authority they have to make decisions. You have a two-way conversation around what support they need from you, what that looks like, what your check-in rhythm will be, and what the escalation criteria is if they need help. It's not micromanaging. This is why it needs to be a two-way conversation around the level of support they need and what good looks like. This is you creating a structure that allows them to work independently whilst you maintain accountability so that they still feel supported but not micromanaged. So when leaders delegate properly, when there is a shift in terms of how they see delegation and when they're more intentional and purposeful around delegation, there is a real shift in how that's received by the teams, because this isn't the handoff and slopey shoulders, as we used to call it, in getting rid of tasks off the list. This intentional success planning is having that timeline of where you see people's potential, what you would like them to be able to do over a certain period of time, and using the opportunities to delegate those tasks to increase their skill set and bridge the gap between their skills and their knowledge and their experience. So you start to get time back as a leader when you're able to delegate. Yes, there is a lot of work and a lot of energy up front, but eventually you start to get that back when the support that is needed starts to reduce and they're able to take those tasks on without that level of support. You get your time back. And also your team become more confident. They become more confident as individuals, but they also become more confident as a team as well. So you're not getting stuck in the tactical work. You're not getting pulled down to that lower level. You're actually raising the level and raising the bar for your team. You're working at the level that you're accountable for. You've got time to think ahead, create momentum, and make things easier for your team to perform. And at the same time, you're increasing the capability of your team. They start coming to you for every decision because they are increasing in their confidence, they're increasing in their ability. And so then when you step away, when you're not available, either because you're in an all-day meeting or actually because you're taking some time off, the work is continued. It's not waiting. There aren't things piling up waiting for you to come back. Nothing falls apart. Your worth shifts, your mindset, your beliefs start to shift from you being the person that gets everything done to you being the leader who creates a team that gets it done. And that impact multiplies. It impacts confidence, it impacts empowerment, it impacts self-efficacy, all so incredibly important for a confident and resilient team. It means then the whole team is building that capability and, as I said, that confidence and that resilience. The more capable your team are, the higher performing your team become. And this is what makes the big week off possible. Because your team is capable, You trust your team. They trust themselves, and the systems are strong to be able to support that. As somebody shared at the end of the workshop, it's about trusting others with tasks, but still be there to guide. It's not about handing off and then letting go. It's not a drop off and disappear. This is an intentional, purposeful way to develop the capability of your teams. This is great for your succession planning. So I would love to know what your light bulb moment is, what's resonated with you and the things that I've talked about, maybe something that you didn't know before you started watching this video. And what will you do as a result? We want to take this learning and turn it into action. And it's always great for me to hear what people are doing with what they're learning from these videos, the podcast, and the blogs. If you're looking to implement action off the back of watching this video, choose one action, keep it small, keep it simple, and keep it specific. If you want more support, then feel free to reach out. This is what I do. This is how I can support. And it's not just through one-to-one coaching. We've got the leadership community as well as the 8-week program as well. If you're interested in finding out more, the website link is in the notes. Have a look at the website. There's also a link there to book in a call if you'd like to have a chat to see how I can support you, or if you'd like to have a chat to see what resources are available to you to support you with this. And I'll be back again with another video very soon.